Wage negotiations between Eskom and unions representing workers are continuing this hour. In addition to the 7% increase proposed by the utility, unions are demanding that the benefits withdrawn from workers last year be returned. For the latest on this, let's bring in Livhuwani Mammburu, spokesperson for the National Union of Mineworkers. Thank you very much, Mr. Mammburu, for taking the time to speak to us as these negotiations continue. There were talks yesterday of a 7% offer from Eskom, but you refuted claims that you'd rejected that offer, saying that the offer hadn't formally been tabled yet yesterday, so that there was no possibility of having rejected it yesterday. So let's talk about what offers have been on the table today.
Thank you very much. Indeed, Eskom has tabled an offer which we still can't reveal it until we get a mandate from our members. As I speak to you, we are still here at Cedarwoods, and the wage negotiations are still underway.
Are you any closer to making a deal at all?
What I can inform the public is that the negotiations in the morning were extremely tense, but things now are looking very positive.
Do you feel that Eskom management is negotiating in good faith?
It's difficult to say if they are negotiating in good faith. Remember, we can't say that they're negotiating in good faith because they declared a dispute. We had to persuade them to come back to the negotiating table. We are very happy that they've come back to the negotiating table. And as I say, as I speak to you now, things are looking very positive.
So you had to force them to come back to the negotiating table. Was that the motivation behind this illegal industrial action?
The motivation was to normalize the situation around the power stations. Indeed, we had to do that.
Understandably, workers' rights and their concerns are incredibly important, and there's a huge gap that needs to be met to make sure that equitable salaries are paid. But the cost to South Africans, as we've just been hearing from Professor Samson Mamphweli, energy expert, is roughly, and this is just for stage 4, he was saying that it's up to 950 million rand per day. Do workers understand that some of their fellow South Africans are losing their jobs while they're fighting for increases for themselves? It's a very difficult, intense situation, I can understand. But is that realization there, and is the sacrifice worth it?
You know what, I was listening, the professor just said that Eskom is projecting more load shedding somewhere in September. So you can see that the load shedding is not being caused by workers. So our members have the right to demand or what they are demanding now. The issue that really provoked workers, if I have to put it clear to the public, is that last year wage negotiations are still unresolved while we are negotiating for 2022. The issue of 2021 wage negotiation is still at the arbitration level. They are not yet resolved. Eskom had to take a unilateral decision to implement a 1.5% without agreeing with the unions. And that is what is causing much anger on the ground with our members. In 2022, they did the same thing of declaring a dispute and referred the case to the CCMA. That really angered the workers. So workers are being provoked. So we understand, we commiserate with what is happening at the moment in the country. We truly commiserate, but workers are being provoked when it comes to this situation.
Just to come back to the issue of load shedding and this strike having nothing to do with the load shedding, do you then say that when Eskom said that unfortunately stage 6 was necessitated by the fact that planned maintenance could not be carried out due to the strike, were they misleading the public when they said that?
What I can tell you, they've said a lot of things. Some of the things that they said is that there are acts of intimidation and violence. But when we communicate with our members on the ground, our members are giving us a difference. So they are saying that they are not, they have not seen acts of violence and intimidation in power stations. So we surprised about this narrative that Eskom is pushing to always want to blame workers for what is happening currently.
What offer would be first prize for you?
Come again?
What offer would be first prize, would make you happy that all your boxes had been ticked and that you could go to your members with and that they would accept immediately without hesitation?
We have mentioned one critical issue, or two critical issues, the income differentials, but the deal breaker in this case is the conditions of employment, conditions of service that were unilaterally changed by Eskom to be reinstated. If Eskom can do that, we promise you that it's a deal breaker. Our members are able, can positively accept the wage agreement.
Just to give South Africans an idea, so in other words, if you make a deal this evening, there's no guarantee that load shedding will be reduced.
If we make a deal?
Yes, once these wage negotiations are resolved and all parties return to work, in your opinion, does that mean an immediate end to load shedding? That's sort of been the messaging coming through.
But you just interviewed an energy expert who made it clear to you that Eskom is projecting more load shedding in the near future.
I understand
so
that.
Really
I don't mean load shedding in its entirety. I just mean this recent week, since Tuesday, we've been having stage 4 and stage 6 that coincides very closely with this industrial action. So I'm just trying to give our viewers some kind of a sense of, if there's no hope that load shedding will end just because a deal has been brokered, they need to be aware of that and have realistic expectations.
But what you're saying, you're saying that if we sign a wage agreement, there's not going to be load shedding. It's as if you are saying that load shedding is caused by our members. And that is what we're saying. No, our members are not causing load shedding.
All right. Thank you very much for engaging with us. That was Livhuwani Mammburu, NUM spokesperson, talking to us about the ongoing wage negotiations between workers and Eskom management.